Hi, this is János, it's Real World Audio, and today we are going through the Voice of Lancelot speaker design. So Edward has posted excellent videos. On the top you can see the title of his video. I will put it down in the link to the video, and there he built his own Voice of Lancelot speakers, and he is explaining how he chose certain features and why, what is it that they are doing, and how it is different from an average speaker. And there you will see that he has done certain things differently from how I did them. And first you might think that there's a clashing between our thinking, but now I'm going through his video, and I will tell you that why I made my choices, why he made his choices, and he is an excellent loudspeaker designer, super duper competent, and I am really amazed how much he has done and how fast he can troubleshoot problems, and how much he recognizes what are happening inside the loudspeaker with the cabinet design. And I really recommend for everyone to watch Edward's videos on his channel, on his Voice of Lancelot speaker build, and the choices he made, because he's giving excellent advice. And while most of my advice is particularly about how I built mine, how I chose the parameters for mine, but this is like a very fine balance. So if you want to change a single parameter in it, it's going to change a dozen more. So if you think that, okay, I just make it from a different wood or different driver, then it's a landslide, and you have to from ground up redesign the whole thing, because each of the parameters, each part of the design is depending on others. It's like 10 or maybe like 100 people holding hands, and if you change one person in the group, then you have to rearrange the entire group as well to make it a balanced group. So it's like if you have a village, and there you have teachers, you have policemen, you have a mayor, you have like the doctors and so on. You have a butcher, you have a shoemaker, and you have like a computer specialist. If one of them falls out, let's say the computer specialist falls out, you replace it with let's say something totally different, like a brain specialist. Then you have to totally rearrange how that village is run, because now you don't have a computer specialist, and you have to totally redesign what kind um, of businesses that can be run in that village. What is the profile of that village? So like if you want to you have like a better example, you have an agrarian village, and you suddenly change the experts who know how to harvest the crops and stuff like that to people who are computer programmers. Then you totally need to redesign how that village functions and what you get out of it. And uh, and uh, and and there's no simple way to do that in real life either for the village how to run, but the loudspeaker design either. And that's why loudspeaker design is such a very advanced profession when you look at it at a high level, because a small choice is a landslide. And that's why I cannot give you guys recommendations like what drivers shall I choose. If you choose a different driver, you have to change a billion different parameters to make it run. And the only way you can do it for yourself is to build up the experience level to get where Edward is, to get where I am. And uh, and that's going to take time and going to take work from your part. And Edward is doing a really amazing job here, that that he is showing a very different aspect on building the speaker. So I'm showing the aspect that so how I did it with building with the highest quality wood that I could afford, and the highest quality drivers that I could afford. And that's pretty much about the top of what anyone can do if you want to build like the close to the last version of the speaker build. And Edward is showing an aspect that he's using more affordable driver choices, and he is using a very simple wood choice, so a much lower grade of plywood, and that's something that is accessible to most of us or any of us who want to build it. So basically he's showing you what can you do, how you build the voice of Lancelot if you do not have the ultimate components for it, and if you do not have like an ultimate understanding. But the last statement is not really true, because Edward has an excellent understanding, and uh, and he guides all of us through his thought processes on how to make adjustments that that uh, that will make the design work if you choose different drivers and you choose different wood for the project. And one of the things, number one, that has to change if you use a different driver. And for my driver, the specialty of it is that the woofer can go super low, and not just the woofer, but the compression driver can be brought down to 500 hertz. So for me, like the most critical bit in the mixture of balancing the woofer and the compression driver is how low the compression driver can be brought down. And what I noticed is that the Altec 288, it can be brought down to 500 hertz, and it still feels the 500 hertz strongly, because you have other compression drivers that may also reach down to 500 hertz, but really they start weakening below 1 kilohertz, and you need to employ EQ. You need to build it into your crossover to make sure that that region stays strong, and you need to use a totally different approach to mating how the drivers meet, because what's happening, let me just draw here. So let's draw the output of the woofer in the black, something like this, and the output of the compression driver with blue, something like this. Okay, so here we go. So your woofer, if you go like this, is, let's say this is 20 hertz, and then this is 500 hertz, and that's like 20 kilohertz over there. Like, let me just write it down. 20k 520. Okay, so now what we need to do with any loudspeaker design that uses two drivers is to mate the levels, so that when you are not in the crossover region, then this is what is playing. So that's the tweeter playing, or compression driver playing alone and putting out all the energy. And you need to keep that level reasonably similar, so that one frequency is not played much louder than the next, because then you will have like a very wonky way of producing music, that certain notes played will be much louder, certain notes played which will be much quieter. And if those that wonkiness is with the musical scale, then you will have certain notes louder than others, and if it doesn't correspond to the musical scale, then it will just sound plain broken. And then the same thing is true for the woofer. It plays at a certain level for most of the part, and then it starts rolling off. And that's natural, and that happens to every woofer, that as you go lower and lower in the frequency, basically you move away from 1 kilohertz, which sounds really terribly high, but as you go lower in frequency with that, every woofer starts losing the coupling to the air. And even though like speakers now can make 20 hertz, but they are doing a losing battle at 20 hertz because they cannot couple the energy of the cone movement to the air very well. And that's the prime reason for losing the output so much. And the simple reason for that is that kind of like having a paddle and you are trying to paddle in water, and the only amount of water you can move with the paddle corresponds to the size of the paddle. So if I have this tiny paddle, I can just flick and whoosh a tiny bit of stream. If I have a paddle this wide, I can move a much wider stream. And now for the air, to move 20 hertz worth of stream, we would need like a 10-meter wide pedal. And you can look at any driver choices. There are no 10-meter diameter loudspeaker cones. Those would be monstrous, but they would be required to keep the efficiency up here at the same level where it pays at higher frequencies. So as that's not happening, we see it dropping, but that's normal, and your room can help out with that. We use other design choices to support the cabinet. That's why we are building cabinets with ports to support that region, because that can couple to your room better than just the cone by itself. So that's all part of loudspeaker design technology. However, this is the key region, the crossover region, where the drivers mate. And here you have output from one and you have output from the other, and oops, my pen fall apart there, and the two need to add up, right? So the two need to add up relatively evenly for you to get a good experience. And now this can be a major problem, because when you make it to add up evenly, you can design it so it adds up only at one position. So if you sit, like you stand up, how they add up is going to change. If you move to a side, that's going to change as well. So it's really difficult to plan for that. But even just planning for that best case scenario, when you are sitting in a sweet spot and to have them level, even that is a really difficult job. And some of you say, oh no, you just punch it in the computer. Yeah, punch it in, do it, and listen to it, and yeah, meh at best, because the computer won't tell you how it exactly behaves in your cabinet. So it's a lot more than that. If it was that simple, anyone could come up with excellent speakers. And what we are seeing is that 99% of even those speakers produced by very competent designers, I would not allow them to play in my home, because I don't think they suit my needs. And they sound like music. They sound, most of them, like whatever. Anyway, so this is a really, really hard problem to tackle. And most designers tackle it with electronic solution to adjust your crossover. And when your woofer and compression driver are not matched perfectly, then you need to apply some EQ on it. And that's what Edward is doing, that he has been listening to it, he has been measuring the output, and he adapted his crossover. It's in his videos, and you can check them out. It's totally ingenious, and he's doing it right. And what I am doing is I approached it from that way. How can I build it in a way that I don't need to put in any EQ in the crossover, and just find two drivers that made that well? And in the case of the Altec 288 and 515, they made perfectly. So that's one case. And if you're asking, can you recommend me another combination? No, I cannot, because it took me like 20 years of research to find a single combination that works. So it will take you as well probably quite a while to find another combo that works as excellently. And the only drivers where you will find such a solution that you can acoustically match the two without electronic adjustment is these large format drivers. So you need a 15-16 inch woofer, and you need a large format big heavy compression driver like the 288. And I can name only like specialized companies that make drivers like this. So like look at Supravox, or there's like a Japanese company who is also building these kind of drivers, and go for them. But those are unrealistically expensive, and unless you are completely financially independent to play around with as much money as you don't care, it doesn't matter. If that's not the case, then you cannot go with it. Then you are forced to either find uh, drivers, these Altec drivers, 515, 288, if you are lucky. If you live in California, you can find them reasonably priced, but you have to do your homework to find them, and it's going to take you time, legwork, to find those drivers, but it can be done. And if you don't live in California, and you don't have a theater that's being torn down next to you so you can grab the drivers, like my case, then that solution is not available for you, or you might be able to get these drivers for very big money on through the internet. So now I'm at 17 minutes, and I still hasn't started talking about Edward's video and what I wanted to talk about, but let's make it into my next video. And this part where he shows, can I do it with one hand? Yeah, this part, when he talks about why I put a front horn in my speaker and why Edward didn't put a front horn in his speaker. That's what I'm talking about. And that's why I went through all of this, so you can understand those two choices. So that's where we will continue from the next video, now that we have the groundwork. Thank you. Bye bye.